tape in front of a live studio audience. Hello, people. Welcome to the 52nd show of Black History Month.
Yes.
And we'll talk about Prince, and we'll actually talk about his 6th studio album, and it was also a movie, Purple Rain.
Purple Rain, right. We're going to talk about the making of the album and the movie and give a little back history on
and
Prince.
Apollonia's tits.
Apollonia's tits.
Oh, they were beautiful tits. I remember watching that Purple Rain, and she just take off the, she was like that.
Yep. And there's actually some interesting points with the making of that movie where things were cut out. I'll get into that later. There's some Apollonia stuff that unfortunately got cut out.
Oh, there was some more dirty scenes.
More dirty scenes.
I love it. Let's go.
All right, so give a little background on Prince. My opinion is Prince is a musical genius.
Yes.
I think we all can agree on that. What I think he had, other than being able to play like 30 instruments, okay, he had this rebelliousness streak through him, especially early on, the first 6 or 7 albums. And when I say 6 or 7, the guy had tons after that.
Yeah.
Personally for me, when I was growing up,
what's up, Tiffany?
I kind of paid attention to him more than even my other friends did, because I came from like a
Usher sucked last night.
Yeah, Little Red Corvette was okay, Tiffany. The rest just sucked. You're right. That's funny.
I love that.
He's a dick anyway. Doesn't he have herpes?
No, he's all fucked up, but yeah, he's fucked up.
Yeah, did he give some girl herpes or something? Anyway, I always felt that Prince had this rebellious streak through him that I liked. He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, and I kind of liked that about him early on. I used to get my balls busted for liking Prince early on by my friends, but I didn't care. Yeah, I could listen to anything.
But you know what's funny about that? He got to the point with the record company that he didn't want to release normal record. He just went by the symbol. The symbol. The artist formerly known as Prince.
He did it to get out of his contract and control over his music. Yes. And one thing that up until the point when he died a couple of years ago is online you could never listen to his music for free.
No.
YouTube had nothing, but since he's died, that's exploded and it's all out there. Anyway, Prince was born Prince Rogers Nelson, June 7th, 1958 in Minneapolis.
Yep.
Now, he's the son of a jazz singer, a woman named Maddie Della, and a pianist and songwriter named John Lewis Nelson.
Yep.
Now, he has a sister named Tyka, who was born 2 years later in 1960. Both had musical ambitions early on. Obviously, with 2 musical parents, this was just going to happen. Unfortunately, Prince had a very kind of sad childhood.
Yeah,
his parents divorced when he was 10, and it kind of messed him up. His mother remarried shortly after. He would bounce between his father's house and his mother's house, which, as you know, for a kid is not great.
Yeah, it fucks him up.
But when his mother got remarried, she had a child, and he didn't get along with the kid, and even his stepfather tried to get on with him. He took him to see James Brown one time when he was a kid. And that was a big moment for him. But, he at one point, he left staying with his mother, went to his father, had a falling out with his father, and stayed with a friend. So there was always problems with him as a kid. Now, when I say he lived with somebody, it was actually a next-door neighbor named the Anderson family. And Andre Anderson was their son. Now, Andre would collaborate musically with Prince later on. He became Andre Simone. And he collaborated with Prince between 78 and 81, writing songs and playing. In 1976, Prince made a demo with Minneapolis producer Chris Moon, which would become the debut album called For You, that was released in 1978. He had gotten signed to Warner Brothers. Now, Prince is credited with producing the whole album, arranging that whole album, composing that whole album, and played all 27 instruments on that album.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. Prince is a musical genius.
Not too many people have done stuff like that. One comes to mind is Paul McCartney on his first album.
You want to hear something crazy? When I asked Eric Clapton about, hey, you being one of the greatest guitarists, what do you think? He said, don't talk to me about the greatest guitarist, because the greatest guitarist that ever lived just died. And he was talking about Prince. He thought Prince was one of the greatest guitarists of all time.
Yeah.
He's definitely up there. He's definitely the top 5.
I mean, and not just that, he was a great drummer.
Yeah.
Too. And he, would have these proteges later on in life. Sheila E., Apollonia, Vanity, Morris Day, all that stuff that went into Purple Rain.
But was influenced by Prince of that, like Bruno Mars, when he came out there for the Super Bowl. I thought that's one of the best. And when he did the drum, it was like Prince was there with him doing the drums.
Yeah, I think Prince was still alive at that point,
was
right?
He still alive?
I think he was. Yeah, it was a while back already. Now, He wrote every song on that first album except a song called Soft and Wet, and it was written by Chris Moon with him. Now, the album got to number 92 on the Hot 100 Billboard charts, but Soft and Wet, the single, actually got to number 12 on the Hot Soul single chart. This was 1978. Now, in 79, he would hit it big with his second album, just called Prince, and it got to number 22 in the Billboard Top 200. Went platinum right away because of the single "I Want to Be Your Lover." And that got to number 11 on the charts in the Hot 100, and got to number 1 on the Soul charts. I remember him going on American Bandstand with that, and he was like a weird-looking dude.
He always been a weird-looking dude.
Yeah. Now, 1980 was when I kind of first became more aware of him. It was an album he released that year called "Dirty Mind." Now, what you have to talk about with this album is it was a departure from the last two.
Yeah.
He was, you could listen to those first two albums. They're like very R&B, soul sounding, some elements of pop, but Dirty Mind was a break from that. He was going to have, first of all, the themes are all sexual.
Yeah.
Okay. Over the top.
Yeah.
And
very over the top.
Yeah. And but musically it would vary. I mean, there's songs on there that are almost new wave-ish. A lot of keyboard-driven stuff, funky kind of beats. Everything from funk to R&B to new wave was kind of thrown in that album.
His style was changing. This was like a breakthrough album.
But every song was a little bit different. Yeah. Okay.
But he's showing people he had a different range. He could go from here to this and that.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy shit! Because a Prince album goes anywhere from being a rock album to a soul album.
Exactly. And one thing that he always had a point of contention with Warner Brothers through the whole time he was with them, especially early on, was that he didn't want to be categorized. If anything, he wanted to be in the rock category.
Yeah.
And they wanted to put him in the R&B category. And he didn't just want to be known for that because, he would do interviews with, R&B magazines or radio stations and things.
The only reason
and he was
because he was black. That's the only reason they wanted to put him there. He could get with the black oil, but he was
of a mixed background.
Yeah.
His family actually have a Creole background from Louisiana, so you got white, you got black, probably some Hispanic in there, all kinds of stuff. But French in there, right?
The guy's a fucking giraffe. I mean, a zebra.
Zebra. George Jefferson.
Zebra.
Oreo cookie. But he would be asked by R&B stations for what he listened to, and they would expect him to say the latest R&B, but he would say, I listen to Abbey Road every day from the Beatles.
Yeah.
So he was into all different kinds of shit. Now, personally, with me, that imagery on the Dirty Mind album, like you got him, he's the black and white cover. He's wearing a trench coat and he's got like a Speedo on it. It's like a lot of people saw that as like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck? And is he gay? Is he straight? What's he into? What's the raincoat about? Because even in 1980, if you wore a raincoat, that was like synonymous with being a pervert.
Oh, being gay.
Maybe.
It was weird.
It was just weird. And he had this totally different sound, very, very catchy. The song Dirty Mind's catchy as hell.
Yeah.
I always felt the imagery, especially on that album, was more rebellious than sexual. Maybe I'm crazy, but I always felt it was more like he was saying like, fuck you, I am who I am.
Yeah, I think that's what, he wasn't defined, like sexual, he didn't define, he didn't know if the guy was, a lot of people thought he was a cupcake.
I to this day, I don't know.
But he banged a bunch of beautiful women.
He was with some very beautiful women in his life. And his music, I always felt was some of the most autobiographical music I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Really just sang very plainly, especially the early albums, plainly about different things, conversations he would hear, or sometimes he got political. Sometimes he would be, with love songs. But these were all things that you could relate to because he spoke very plainly.
Have you ever seen the George Harrison tribute show where he plays...
at the Garden after Harrison died. Yeah,
they did that song.
I think it's While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
My Guitar
the Beatles song.
And he played that shit.
Oh yeah,
it was fantastic.
He was shredding.
He
on that.
went with the guitar, and then he gets to the point he just threw the guitar in the air.
Yeah.
But what a great rendition of that song.
Right.
That was incredible.
Right. Now, Dirty Mind's got some crazy ass songs on it.
Yeah.
It's the title track. He's got a song on there called Head.
Yeah.
What's that about? Okay.
Prince,
and he's also got a song right after Head. It segues into it called Sister.
Yeah.
And it's about banging your sister.
Yeah.
He's out of his mind. October of '81, and prolifically he's putting out so many albums. But in October of '81, he would release the Controversy album. He went on tour with that album with the Stones. Okay. He did 3 shows opening for the Stones on the Tattoo You album tour. And basically had to leave the tour because he would get thrown shit at him every night for 3 nights in a row. People were throwing trash at him. They were throwing rocks at him.
They didn't know how to...
that was kind of a time when you were either into disco, R&B, or you were into rock and roll. It didn't come together too much. Even though the Stones, it's hypocritical because the Stones at that point had Miss You under their belt, Emotional Rescue under their belt.
Yeah.
These were disco songs. They were disco songs. I don't care how you slice it. So if they were playing those songs and they just didn't like Prince for whatever reason, that album would get to number 3 on the Billboard R&B charts.
Yeah.
So he was riding pretty high at that point. Now, it would also get to number 70 on the Billboard charts. And that would be the single Controversy would get to number 70 on the Billboard charts. But it would also get to number 3 on the US R&B. So he was making headway in the R&B community, way better than the regular rock and pop community.
Yep.
There's a song on there called Wish You Were Mine that was released as a single, got to number 104, but it went to number 9 on the US R&B charts. Now, you might remember this song because about 2 years later, I think 1984, it was covered by Cyndi Lauper.
Yep.
On the She's So Unusual multi-platinum album.
Yep.
And she did a good job on it. She pretty much does it the same way.
Yeah.
And she had like a little bit of a minor hit with it as well. That album, Controversy, deals with a lot of questions people were asking him. Like on the title track, there's the lyric like, am I black or white? Am I gay or straight?
Yeah.
And people asking that of him. And there's also a song on there called Jack You Off, which we all know what that is. He would be a little bit political. He has a song called Ronnie Talk to Russia. And it's just about Reagan should talk to Russia before we have a nuclear war.
Which he actually did. Mr. Gorbachev take down the wall.
Yeah, he would. That was also the first time that he got kind of synonymous with the color purple on that album. Now, that whole album would actually make it to number 55 on the U.S. charts, the top 200. So it was doing well. Late 1982, same year, he would release the 1999 double album. Now, that would be a big hit.
Yeah.
And it would go to 3 million copies. And the 1999 single was the first top 10 international hit.
That was a great song.
Very good song.
Very good.
Little Red Corvette, I always love that one. Was a top 10
song.
single, and that got heavy rotation on MTV. He had videos earlier on. There's videos from the Controversy album and the Dirty Mind album, and I think there's a video for stuff off the Prince album.
This is the album that actually took over. Little Red Corvette, and I remember those videos where they had heavy
rotation. They
also played them in Friday Night Video and Video Music Box.
U68, U68 had all that. Was playing it all the time. The album, it continued with kind of a funk R&B new wave theme. that he had going back to Dirty Mind. Those 3 in a row. Dirty Mind Controversy in 1999. There was a song called International Lover on there that actually got Grammy nominated as a single. Didn't win, but he got nominated. He was getting recognized. At that point, he actually had a band name. And people forget, if you look at the 1999, the numbers on the album cover, I think in the Prince in Prince, it says "End the Revolution."
And the Revolution.
That's when he first used that.
Prince and the Revolution.
Right, now that band was Lisa Coleman on keyboards, Dr. Fink on keyboards. He was the guy that wore the surgical mask and the doctor's outfit. Right. Bobby Z was on drums, Brown Mark on bass, Des Dickerson, who'd been with him for a while, on guitar, Jill Jones on backing vocals. Now, after 1999, Des Dickerson, who'd been with him for a few albums, would leave the band. And this is like a classic fuck-up, really, because he was about to break the world open after this. But he did leave because of religious reasons. He became a born-again Christian, and he just didn't want to do those, like, sexual songs. But
didn't Prince, at the end of his almost life, he became a Jehovah's Witness?
I think he was brought up a Jehovah's Witness, and he went back to it or something like that. Yeah. But I don't think that stopped him from too many things. Okay. Now, Des Dickerson would leave the band, and they would get Wendy Melvoin. Okay, she would replace. So now you had that Lisa and Wendy combination there. Now, in the early 1980s, Prince had asked his management to get a movie role. He wanted to get into the movie business. And a starring role, not a. He didn't want to start with a co-starring. He wanted to star in his own movie. Okay. Now at the time, he really didn't have much exposure other than musical, and it's hard to make that jump. So, his management was looking. Okay.
But you want to hear something funny? When that movie was being made, MTV put it on display. Like MTV
when they were making it.
Yep,
I do remember that.
And they also even when they did like a release party. It was like the thing was televised live outside MTV. They would interview all the stars, and they were getting reaction to it. So I think this was the first movie that was made by the MTV generation. They were like, we're gonna go out and see that movie.
I'll concede that, definitely, man. I mean, that sounds accurate. I don't recall any other movie before that getting such attention from MTV.
No, that
you gotta remember, that movie came out in '84. MTV ruled the world in '84. It did. I think that was the first year they had the Video Music Awards. It was like gigantic. You couldn't get away from it.
No, you couldn't.
Now, during the 1999 tour, Prince was working on the concept of this film that he wanted to do. He had a team of, his management team was Robert Cavallo, Joseph Ruffalo, and Stephen Fognoli, okay? Now, they hired a guy named William Blinn to write the script. William Blinn was a guy who did a lot of TV, did a lot of Starsky and Hutch episodes, a lot of different shows. He also got an Emmy for his work on Roots. He was involved in the writing of that. Basically, the idea was it was going to be semi-autobiographical.
It was definitely
Now, Blinn originally wrote a very dark script. Okay? It was not the film that you see today. There are elements of it, but this script would be, tweaked and tuned up and changed, that there were a lot of things taken out of it to kind of make it a little bit of a nicer, I don't want to say family movie because it's not, but
it was rated R.
But it was rated R, but it was R, right?
It was R rated.
Yeah, but I think it was much. You saw breast. That's it. Right.
R, especially back then, because they didn't have the PG-13.
No, they didn't at that point.
You were either PG or you were R.
They brought in. They were looking for a director, and they brought in Albert Magnoli to direct it. But when he got this script, he said, we got to change some things. So he wrote it, and he made it a little bit of a lighter film. And originally, Prince's protege Vanity was going to star in the movie alongside him. He had a group with her called Vanity 6. Vanity, do you remember the song she had around that time? Pretty Mess.
Pretty Mess.
Such a pretty mess on my dress.
I remember that.
But she was beautiful.
That was short-lived.
Very short-lived. that Vanity 6 project didn't last. That was his girlfriend for a while.
Yeah.
You know, she quit to become a born-again Christian right around when they were getting ready to start shooting the movie. So they had to scramble and look for another actress. They offered the role originally to Jennifer Beals, who had just done Flashdance. And she turned it down because she wanted to go back to college.
Yep.
So that's what she did. They ended up settling on Apollonia Cotero. She was an unknown actress that Prince had just seen on a Saturday morning show called Tales of the Gold Monkey.
Yeah.
That used to be on. Do you remember that show? It was only on like for a year or something.
Yeah.
You know, she's in like one episode, and he thought she was perfect. Some interesting things about the movie. Every character in the film is named after the actor playing them, except Prince and his parents.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you got Morris Day, his name is Morris.
Yeah.
Apollonia is Apollonia. Everybody has their own name that's done as acting.
So they were pretty much doing. It was like a autograph. It was like a biograph. Like it was like actually a biopic.
It was a bioflick because it took place in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
All right. You had the First Avenue Club. Okay.
I gotta tell you a funny story about First Avenue.
You've been there, right?
Yeah. So the first time I went to Minnesota, I was there a few days. I've been to Minnesota, but the first time I went, I had to buy cheap shots. I go to First Avenue. There's a huge line. And I walk up to the bar and say, hey, I'm from Anheuser-Busch. I work for Budweiser. They said they had a problem with the tap line. And the guy didn't even question, okay, come in. And I went in and I went
There you go, man.
And
that's great.
The way I
cut the line.
I cut the line and got into First Avenue. What a unique club.
Yeah. I heard good things about it. I've never been there.
I've been there like twice. Anytime I go there, I try to go in there and just hang out. They always have like live music and stuff. A lot of bands.
Well, I mean, a lot of bands went through there. I mean, you had Minnesota bands that I like other than Prince. I like Husker Du and the Replacements. They all played there.
Yeah.
You know. Now, some of the darker sequences that had to be removed was there was a scene where Prince and Apollonia have sex in a barn. Okay, they cut that out. It was too raunchy. Now he would bring that scene up in the song Raspberry Beret. Remember that? Because he said we went out by Old Man Johnson's farm.
Yeah.
You know, and then also there's a scene when Apollonia 6. It's not Vanity 6 anymore in the movie. It's Apollonia 6.
Yeah.
There's like a rehearsal scene which is in the movie, but there's another part where Morris Day shows up and the kid who is Prince, the character the kid, actually like fights him physically. They get into a big fight at that rehearsal. Warner Brothers felt the film was like kind of ridiculous, okay, when they looked at it, but everybody, there was some discussions internally, and they said, all right, we're going to put this out. So it came out July 27th, 1984. Most of the photography was done in Minneapolis, the Minnesota area right there. A couple of scenes were done in LA, but for instance, the scenes in First Avenue were done over a 25-day period where they closed the club, and the club got paid $100,000.
That's beautiful.
That good gig, right? Now, a little interesting topic here. What's a big thing in the movie you remember? The motorcycle, right?
Yeah, the motorcycle.
Now, do you know what kind of bike that was?
No, what kind of bike?
All right, it was a Honda customized CM400A.
Wow, a Honda?
It was a Honda.
Jesus Christ, I can't even think it.
It looked like a Honda, but it didn't have the Honda name on it. He had it all customized with his
But
print
it didn't
stuff
look
on
like
it.
one of those speed bikes. It looked like a bike, bike.
Yeah,
You
it was just customized for that.
Because it's even in the cover of the album and everything.
Yeah,
On top
that
of the
bike, I think, is it in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
It might be.
Or it's somewhere. That bike, I think, traveled around to different places. Because I remember one time, I think I saw it in Atlantic City.
Yeah?
Yeah, they've had it around. It's
You know who might have the bike right now? Maybe the Hard Rock. They're the kind of people that would buy something
one of the
like
Hard
that.
Rocks, yeah. Now, The film made $68 million
That's a commercial success
total
at that time.
worldwide, despite getting some mixed reviews when it opened up.
They got shitting on the reviews. The reviews
Yeah,
are horrible.
I remember some of the reviews being bad, some being okay, but it didn't stop anybody because it's a fun movie.
It is a fun movie.
You know, even watching it today, I've watched it maybe in the last year, and it's a fun movie still to watch. Some of it you kind of cringe and go,
Yeah,
you know,
this is all fun.
Yeah, you know, but you know, at the time there was nothing like that, and he was such a unique character. You know, could a guy like Prince make it today, you think? That's a good question, right?
I think he could still make it today. I think now he would even be more popular with the kind of people, the way people are.
I mean, the sexual kind of thing?
I think he
Yeah,
would
but
make it even more.
I don't know if he would have the control over his music.
Nah, he would not have control.
See, so that would hurt the
the
creativity, right? I would think. You know,
Prince is like Madonna. They're going to be popular regardless.
but if you think about when he first started, Warner Brothers was letting him kind of do what he wanted. That mentality doesn't exist anymore in the music business. So these people, they either get the one hit and they disappear, or they carry on, but you're kind of like stuck with the record company telling you what to do. You know? Some of the songs on the soundtrack, okay, now we all know Let's Go Crazy. That actually got to #1 as a single. Take Me With You, The Beautiful Ones, Computer Blue, Darling Nikki, When Doves Cry, that went to #1. That was the first single.
Remember that video? There was the controversy in the bubble that was the tip of his dick in the bubble?
Yes.
That was the
I
big.
forgot about
they
that.
were talking about that shit on TV. I couldn't even remember that shit.
Yeah. I Would Die For You and Purple Rain, that song would get to #2 as a single. There were some extra hits actually on that. The only songs on the soundtrack were Prince songs.
Yeah.
But, you know, Morris Day had a short-lived career basically based off that.
Yeah.
The song Jungle Love, the song The Bird.
The Bird.
The Bird. Right.
That was a great song. Even when they performed that in the movie, it was great.
Yeah, because they're like going like this. All the syncopated dancing. And Apollonia 6 had a song with Sex Shooter.
Yeah.
Okay, which I think was originally a Vanity 6 song.
It was a Vanity
I think
6,
they both
but then
did.
they changed it.
Yeah. Now Prince is the third artist in history behind Elvis and the Beatles to have a #1 album, a #1 single, and a #1 film in the U.S. all at the same time. I don't know if it's ever happened again since. I don't think so. That I can think of, but maybe. If it has, somebody let me know.
Which one? Who? The Beatles?
The Beatles and Elvis did it.
Yeah, they had the #1 movie and they had the #1
single
album.
and
single.
film.
And they had they only those two
Album,
records.
single, and film.
Yeah. I don't think who else could have done
I
that.
can't think of anybody since. There might be somebody I missed. I don't really pay
But
attention to
when
stuff
Michael
like
Jackson
that.
took out his movie Moonrock, that movie then wasn't that successful, I think.
I don't think it was a #1 film at the
Nah.
same time as the album and things like that.
But the Prince movie, people actually were anticipated. Like it was like I tell you, it was pretty much an
They
MTV.
were looking forward to it.
MTV pretty much promoted the shit out of it. There was commercial every few minutes.
Yeah.
Prince, Purple Rain's coming out. They would have backseat interview of the filming of the movie and shit. So I totally remember that.
Right.
With that whole Purple Rain shit. It was like it was a lot, so much thing.
Gigantic. The album sold to this day over 25 million copies since 1984.
And it's been 13-time platinum.
13 times.
That's what that is.
Well, isn't a million platinum?
Yeah.
So now it's 25.
Yeah. So it keeps going and going.
Okay. The Grammy for Best Rock Vocal Performance that year by a duo or a group went to him.
Yeah.
And also the Best Score Soundtrack he got an Oscar for. Yeah. Now here's an interesting little tidbit.
He had a few songs up to #1 of the Billboards.
Well, Purple Rain went to #2.
Yeah.
Let's Go Crazy and When Doves Cry went to #1.
They all went to #1. The album was to #1. And also this album stayed in the chart for 122 weeks, which is something like not too many people, And it was a great album. You know, here's another funny thing. This was the third album I ever bought in my life.
Really?
It was the Purple Rain soundtrack.
Okay,
and
now I remember you.
album.
Let's talk about that for a second. I remember you said the first album you ever bought was Men at Work Cargo.
Yeah.
What was the second?
Michael Jackson, Off the Wall.
Okay, and then this one.
And then this one. So those were pretty much that's like pretty much what my parents would let me get.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we don't want you to listen. And Prince was like a little edgy devil. It was like,
yeah.
And it was like, what the hell are you listening to?
Right.
It's about
I
banging
mean, I remember my mother asking me back in 1999, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? What are you listening to? But that was actually on the radio, so she couldn't say much.
But I remember, what was it? This album started, did it belong to a guy here today for a thing called Love. And it was fucking... It's fantastic. You can play that album and you can go for hours.
There was some crazy lyrics in a few songs on Purple Rain.
And that first song, let's go crazy. Like, how can you not? That's the way you started the album.
Oh,
it
was like, it was the whole organ with Dearly Beloved.
It's fucking fantastic.
We're gathered here to like a funeral.
It was great.
To get through this thing called life. You know, when you hear that, it just, I don't know. I like it. I always
afterlife.
Like it. Yes. Going into it. But there was a song on there that drove people crazy because it was nasty as hell, called Darling Nikki.
Oh, I know that song. It's a fantastic song.
Now, the line in there, masturbating with a magazine.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, interesting little note is Tipper Gore, arch nemesis of everybody, okay, started the PMRC over that song because she caught her daughter listening to it.
Oh, my God.
Okay? So all that stuff that we had in the 80s with the PMRC, Parents Music Resource Center, for you young people that don't know this, it was a group of senators' wives. Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife, started it. A bunch of others that were going to sit around and decide what we should listen to, what's offensive, what's not, and they were going to put stickers on things. Now this was the beginning of the end because they won. There are stickers on things because of this.
Oh yeah, there is.
Okay, and it went over to video games right after that.
Yeah.
Okay, but Tipper Gore, definitely evil bitch. Okay, because of that.
I remember that. Yeah, because the album was like so controversial.
Yeah.
Man. It was like they got a lot of shit, man.
Oh man.
Another thing, you know what was funny? The album was they recorded the album from August 4th, 1984 to January 18, 1985 is when they were recording the albm. The album
no, it came out in 84, not 85.
I mean
83 to 84?
Yeah, that's what I mean, 83
Yeah, 83 to 84. Yeah, because it came out in like June or July of 84.
It came out May.
Okay.
May something.
Okay. But
now this album was weird because they filmed the album in 3 locations.
Yeah.
They did some in the studio
in LA,
in First Avenue, right?
Yes.
They did another place called the Warehouse in Minnesota. Also, then they also did a record party in New York City, and then they went to Sunset Sound in Hollywood, California.
Well, you have to talk about the film. You're talking about the album. The record plant is a recording studio. Yeah.
Because I think while they were filming the movie, they went to all these places, so they were also doing the album at the same time.
You ever listen to it? It has almost a live feel to it.
Yeah.
Like it's you're at the show.
Yeah.
Some of them have that feel, that album, yeah.
You want to hear this crazy about this album? It was in the Grammy Hall of Fame and was added to the Library of Congress National Recording Registration. So
really?
This album is like a historic album.
It's considered a historic album.
Well, and
it is.
And the album was 9 songs and it ran 43 minutes and 51 seconds. And like, it's a solid hour it's a solid 45 minutes of great music.
Yeah.
Because between those nine songs, there's not a bad song.
Yeah.
Even the bad one is better than anybody else can bring out.
Now, do you remember the Lemmy documentary?
Yeah.
Do you remember how Lemmy shits on Prince?
Yes.
Somebody asked him, "What do you think?" And he was like, "I saw Hendrix already."
Yeah.
He was for a minute there almost like the second coming of Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a rip-off kind of thing. He really wasn't. He was playing the same guitar, very similar guitar, the scarves and all that shit. But I don't know. I liked it. And do you remember?
Prince was on a different level than Hendrix. Hendrix was great, but Prince was also, he was no slouch.
No.
He was no second fiddle. I think the problem they compare him is that was the only thing you could compare him to.
Yeah, because he was a black guy playing guitar with an afro.
Yeah, there was nobody else.
Big head. That's all it was.
That's all it was.
But do you remember? There was that. I think it was People magazine, or maybe it was Rolling Stone, but I think it was People that put they juxtaposed Prince and Michael Jackson at the same time on the cover, and it was like, which one's bigger, right? And I remember seeing that, going like, well, they're different. They're different. I mean, and I do like Prince better than Michael Jackson.
You know what the thing, like, you know what? This I'm breaking down to you. Prince was a little bit. To me, Prince was more rock and roll.
Yeah.
And Michael Jackson was the king of pop. He was not rock and roll. He was
self-proclaimed king of pop.
He
called himself.
That's how he was the king of pop.
Well, yeah. For a while there, he was.
There was nobody selling albums like he was. Nobody. Nobody was even the same league. That's what I'm saying.
If that's the definition of pop, then yes, I agree.
That's what it is.
It's
like he sold more albums. Popular music. He sold more albums. Even his shit albums sold. To me, the best Michael Jackson album is Off the Wall.
I would agree.
You know?
As far as his solo stuff.
Yeah.
Which I can't really listen to that much.
But then people think Thriller was the greatest album just because it had so many songs and people love that. That's an album to consider, you know? But I still say...
I actually had Off the Wall, too.
To me, Off the Wall was great.
I got it when it came out.
But the Purple Rain was a historic album. Purple Rain was just, it was such a fucking... it was like the movie. It starts... It was upbeat, and then it ends like, it ends just right. It's like
it does. There. He got his shit together. He gets the girl. It's a happy ending.
Yeah.
I mean, I think also that album was kind of like a peak for him.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was really him entirely, everything. It was all, the movie was his idea, the script was his idea, everything was all him.
Yeah.
It was just, he bared his soul to everybody with that. Do you remember the album after that?
What was the album?
The one, Around the World in a Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really didn't get that album.
I actually think that's his last good album.
You know what album I love? I love the Diamond and Pearl.
Diamond and Pearls. I to me, I tuned out after Raspberry Beret. Like, that was the single off of... I think that's a great pop song. I think it's a great... Now, he did something interesting, just to mention quickly.
The video was great too, remember?
Yeah, he did something interesting, because when that album, Around the World in a Day, was going to come out, they were hyping it. Oh, when's the new Prince album? It was, 10 days to the new Prince album. MTV was hyping it. And then he comes out with, like, this psychedelic, okay? It was almost, the album cover is almost a throwback to Sgt. Pepper.
Oh yeah,
okay.
I remember that.
Yeah. And Raspberry Beret was almost psychedelic '60s sounding, and nobody expected that. They wanted an R&B funk album, even though you could say Purple Rain is psychedelic too.
Yeah,
I think it is. But it went a little bit further with that, with Around the World in a Day. After that, I kind of tuned out. I just felt like, then when he changed his name to the Symbol, I'm like,
I think what happened was when after Diamond, I think he just went down. Like, he wasn't really taking good stuff. He was taking out like hits, but not like anything.
Do you think it was drugs? It was like sapping his creativity?
I don't know. He was also going to like a different thing with love. Like, I think he got divorced and married during that time. Didn't he go through some weird shit with that?
Something
or
happened.
The girlfriends. He was going through some weird
Well, he was going. He was with Sheena Easton for a while. Remember that?
Yeah.
She's
another hot woman.
Oh, she was. Especially with him. They had that song, "You Got the Look."
Yeah, you got the look.
Right?
Yeah, that was
something
great.
Like that,
yeah.
Right? And then remember he had that song "Cream."
Cream. That was a great song too.
He I didn't pay attention to what he did much towards the end of his life, but when I heard that he died, I was kind of bummed.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's a big loss right there.
Yeah.
I was more bummed about that than Kobe. Oop, I went there.
The only thing that's tragic about the Kobe is that those other poor people died.
Yeah,
his daughter,
family and everything.
And everything else, and that other family that died, fucking. You gotta fucking, if you have loved one, hug him, tell them you love him. And
really, I mean, the Kobe thing is very tragic.
It's fucking tragic.
Live your life like it's the last day, people.
And then you still got people shitting on him, calling him a rapist, but you know what?
It was never proven.
It was never proven. It wasn't. Probably, I think he just made it go away. They just paid a lady, I think. And made it go away.
Some people have the fight in them and some people don't.
Yeah.
Okay? He had a lot of money. and he could say, "Listen, I'll just don't want to deal with this. I'll pay this person off," and that's what he did. Now, some people may say that means he's guilty. Well, Michael Jackson did the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people done the same thing.
A lot of people have done that. Does that mean you're guilty? Not every time. So, if you don't know, shut up.
Yeah.
Basically, you don't know. And he actually, his wife stayed with him.
Yeah.
Okay. And he had four beautiful daughters.
He got a 6 month old
the baby.
Yeah, that's still a baby. Yeah.
Very sad.
Very sad. Another tragic in 2020, man. People are going, man.
People are dropping.
Shit, man.
Yep.
Also, the fucking guys from Monty Python.
Terry Jones.
Yeah.
Terry Jones from Monty Python died. Yep.
So shit's happened in 2020.
He was talented.
All right, so Mike, what do you have for us this week? Album of? Oh, we don't even gonna do album of the week.
Yeah, this is the album of the week always.
Yeah.
This is the go-to.
And the song of the week, I think it's Let's Get Crazy.
Fuck that, Darling Nikki.
Darling Nikki is
Masturbating
great.
with a magazine.
Yeah, but you don't want all the children. Don't you want all the youth to start listening to that, so they might get really fucked up, especially the new generation.
Oh God.
The outrage community.
I got no comment with that. No comment with that.
The outrage community. So how can we find you, Rocker Mike?
Rocker Mike. It's Rocker Mike 212 on Instagram, and then Rocker Mike 3 on Twitter. And my name is Michael Baker, Baker, on Facebook. Rob.
And remember, people,
Rob,
Happy Black History Month. First of all,
right. When you're seeing this, it's going to be the 3rd week of February.
Black History Month. And we just wanted to say Happy Black History Month. And I think you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Getting Lumped Up. Anything lumped up?
Anything getting lumped up.
I'm pretty much.
His face is right there.
My face is
big
on
head.
there. And soon we're probably going to have a page for the Rockshow, so you can send any comments.
2020, you're going to see a lot of improvement with us, I think. We're really putting a lot into this. We got a few things lined up that, if that materializes, we'll tell you about it.
Yeah.
We've got a busy week here. You'll see us Facebook Live today, tomorrow, and Wednesday.
Yeah. A lot of shows.
A lot of shows, and some of these, you'll catch them Facebook Live, but then they'll be reshown in a few weeks.
Yeah, on YouTube.
On YouTube.
So if you don't write, then you can always listen to the recording. We got over 186 shows.
Yeah.
With the whole Getting Lumped Up.
Anchor FM is one of them. They have all the podcasts listed in a row. You could check them out. We've been doing this now for me and him for a year. He's been doing it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
With John, and it's something we love doing.
Yeah. And remember, people, don't get drunk, get lumped up. I thought that was a good show.
Always good. Take care, people.